Hi there, my name is Jordan, and I'm the owner of Awakening Potential, and I'm also an Awakening Potential tutor, which means that I specialize in helping students awaken their full potential for learning success. So now we're going to take a look at some frequently asked questions so we can answer any questions that you might have about our online sessions. So this first question, what pricing plans are available? So there's three basic plans. I recommend to start with the free 20-minute intro session. There's no financial commitment for that plan, and it's completely free. You're not under any obligation to sign up for any further sessions. And your child gets to experience a short mini lesson. And you and your child both get to meet me. We get to meet each other, get a chance to get to know each other before we start any further lessons. And you can also ask questions about the lessons and the formats and teaching methods and so on. The most popular plan is this monthly commitment plan after starting with the free 20-minute intro session. Most families, most students choose this plan. And one of the main reasons is it's a month-by-month commitment. So you're not committed for anything more than a month. And for that month, though, you get to schedule and reserve all your sessions ahead of time for that month. So you're guaranteed that you're going to have those sessions scheduled. No one else is going to take your spot. You don't have to worry about finding a time each week rescheduling, and you can build an ongoing relationship between myself and the child and the student. So since we're meeting week to week, possibly more times during the week, depending on the needs of the child, since we're meeting week to week, we get to know each other better. I get to know the student's needs better, and thereby plan the lessons more effectively. And just more of long-term structured support is really the idea of this plan, which what I find is what most students need. However, there's also the individual session plan, and this option is a session by session commitment. So this would be after you've done your free 20-minute intro session. If you decide you do want to do some sessions, but um, you're not sure that the monthly commitment plan is right for you. So this individual session plan would be for if you want sessions scheduled on an as-needed basis. So you wouldn't get to have any sessions reserved ahead of time other than one session at a time. But this might work for you if all you need is a session-by-session commitment. Maybe perhaps your schedule actually does change a lot. You don't know what your schedule will be like week to week. You would just like to go from one week to the next for scheduling. Um, so your availability is changing a lot. It could be that you only need occasional support, so perhaps you don't need that long-term structured support over time. Perhaps you just need support here and there. Perhaps your child needs some help with getting through some reading on a few assignments from school, or you just want to do a couple of review sessions or review some concepts or get some practice here and there, not on a continuous basis. Then this plan would be the best for you. And it's also good for students who need to fill gaps in their learning. So perhaps your child has challenges with reading, but maybe they're doing okay overall, but there's just a few little gaps they want to fill in, a few things here and there. So this might be the option for that situation. Let's take a look at this question. What is the Orton-Gillingham approach? So this is the approach that I use in all my lessons. It's a very effective approach, and it's especially effective for children with dyslexia. So it's got a few basic steps. Structured lessons taught in a direct manner. So that means the lessons have a very clear structure. They're always that same structure, which makes it easy and predictable for the student to know how they're going to be learning. And a direct manner, which means the lessons and the concepts are taught explicitly. Um, the second step, systematic and sequential lessons. So that means that we're building things one at a time, step by step, which is really important. As can be seen in the phonics reading lesson that we did, you build on one thing at a time and you gradually build it up step by step. And that just makes it easier for the child to learn and to retain the information and be clear about what they're learning. The third part is continuous review of previously learned material. And so that's where we keep coming back to old material that we've already learned. We don't just learn something and then move on. We learn something, and as we learn new things, we also review the old things that we learned. And that just keeps those old things moving and continuously in the mind, in the brain. And that's really important to keep that old material going as we're learning new material. So we're not kind of dividing them up, we're bringing them together. And the last aspect, number 4, the use of multiple learning modalities. That means we're not learning in only one way. So we learn with our kinesthetic aspect, which you saw that in the aspect of the lesson where we were actually doing that hand motion, where we were actually physically getting involved in learning that activates all kinds of parts of the brain that really help with the learning process. And we also do the auditory aspect when we're saying the sounds, we're listening. Uh, the child listens to me, the tutor, say the sounds, the child says the sounds, and we're learning and we're using the visual aspect of learning um, very effectively by having a lot of colorful images, a lot of fun characters. We try and use a lot of color and a lot of engaging images to engage the visual aspect of learning. So those are the important aspects of the Orton-Gillingham approach. So let's look at this question. Can you help children with dyslexia? So yes, I definitely can. That's actually what I do. For the most part, a vast majority of my students have dyslexia, and I help them to reach success. I use approaches, including the Orton-Gillingham approach, which we looked at, that are especially suited for children with dyslexia. So I use approaches that are actually built just for students who have dyslexia to help them find success. And that includes the Awakening Potential for Reading Success program that I use for reading. And also I have a lot of patience, which of course is really important when a child has dyslexia and they're struggling with reading. That's a very important aspect. Let's look at this question. How do I prepare for my child's online tutoring session? So that's a really good question, especially if you haven't done online tutoring before. It's actually really simple and easy. So the first step is just to download the Zoom app, either on your desktop computer or your laptop or your tablet, whatever device you'll be using for the lessons, for the sessions. And so that's pretty straightforward and simple, and it's free. It's a free app. Click the link in the confirmation email you receive before each lesson. So before each lesson, on the day of each lesson, you'll receive a confirmation email from me, which will have all the info to join the Zoom room. And all you need to do actually is just click a link. And if it asks you for the password will also be included in the email. So the email will have everything you need, but pretty much all you need to do is click that link and then maybe just enter that password. It's very simple. And I'll have all the materials that your child will need for the session, which you saw during that example lesson. You won't need to bring anything. All they need to bring is their bright, shining mind, ready and open to learn. So that open mind, ready to learn. And so you might also be wondering, does online tutoring actually work? So yes, absolutely, it does work. I use online tutoring, this format, with all my students. It works very effectively. The child finds it a lot of fun, actually. Especially in our generation, they adapt pretty well to the use of technology. They take onto it pretty well. So yes, I effectively use technology to deliver seamless experience for the child, allowing them to focus on learning. So you see that during that example lesson where I pull up all the materials, have everything we need. The child really doesn't have to do much, but be there at the computer and follow my guidance and interact with me as we learn. There's not a lot of clicking or anything technological they have to do on their end. They just get to participate once the session is set up. And my students realize great success in the online format. So that's definitely true. And so let's look at this question. What experience and qualifications do you have? So I have 14 years experience tutoring children with dyslexia and those who are twice exceptional, which basically just means students that have one area that's very challenging and one area that's very ahead or very excelled. So they might be very, very intelligent and very, very good at math or science, for example, but they have a very hard time reading and they also have dyslexia likely. So I have 14 years experience helping those type of kids. And I'm trained and experienced in using the Orton-Gillingham approach, which we looked at, which is very good for students who have dyslexia and various challenges. And I also develop a bond and relationship with my students, and that facilitates a greater ease of learning. So as we're interacting, they're more open to learning through that interaction and relationship. And so how will you know if your child is making progress? So one of the main important things is you'll notice their increased confidence. Or the other side of it may be that they're less frustrated. Those are kind of two sides of the same coin. But they'll have increased confidence. They're going to actually feel like they can read. They're going to feel like they can do this. They're not going to be as frustrated about it. They know that they can use their strategies to read words that they encounter. So they're more confident in their reading. Along those lines is they have an improved abilities. So you'll notice that they're actually using these strategies and concepts to read words. They're not just struggling with words every single time, not knowing what to do, just guessing. They're actually having strategies and they're improving their ability to actually read. And then also, very important, you'll receive from me weekly student summaries, with an indication of areas of strength and further development. So let's take a look at an example of what those weekly summaries would look like for you that you'll receive. And so yeah, you'll receive your weekly student summary. It's going to have the name of the child, which I've taken out here for this example, but it'll have the name of the child and whatever concepts to work on. So we're just taking a look at a really short example, not a whole summary. But in this example, we can see there was a few different concepts that a child was working on. So your child might have a further development in this concept, like with what we call here the syllable strength concept, and this word was challenging for them. You'll see the words indicated that were challenging, and then you'll see a visual image of what was actually encountered. So you can see how we used the syllable strength strategy to break this word disappear into syllables. So basically it gives you what the concept is. It tells you if it was a challenge or if there was something that we're actually doing well on, if it was a strength, and then for an example for either or of those, and then a visual example to kind of give you an idea of what I actually saw during the lesson. So you can see what I saw too. And here's another example. So in this concept, the vowel cycling concept, they needed a little bit of extra practice with these words using that vowel cycling strategy, changing the vowel sounds in the words. So you can kind of get a visual example of what it worked like, what it looked like. And of course, the actual summary is longer than this. This is just a very short example for the purpose of this video, but those weekly summaries will give you an idea of what's actually happening with your student, how they're doing. And of course, at any time, you could always reach out to me and ask questions. So I hope that answered all your questions. So if you're ready to get started, go ahead and sign up for your free 20-minute intro session today. You can click that button right below the video and you can get signed up there.